Happy holidays, Fairfield. I'm Susan Kessel, and you're watching FPAC Channel 9, Public Access in Fairfield. Today we're at a great place for the holidays, and we're here at the greenhouse of Mary Sobaski, also known as Mo Sobaski, some of you might know. And we're in her greenhouse with all these beautiful poinsettias. It's that time of year. But I thought we'd talk to Mary about how she got started. You were saying you used to be a hairdresser.
Yes, many years ago I was a hairdresser right out of high school, and I worked at the beauty shop in Fairfield. Quit then when I started having my family and was a stay-at-home mom and worked on the farm. So then when my son was coming home from college, this is when I got into the greenhouse and the flower shop.
So you have how many children?
I have three.
Three children?
Yes.
And they are?
Rick is 24. Cindy is a junior at Iowa State University in horticulture.
Uh-oh.
And she's just turned 21. And our youngest boy is Andy, and he's a senior at Pekin.
Okay, and we should mention your husband.
My husband, Larry.
is a big farmer. So you have maybe some of the horticulture in your family?
It all goes together. When I thought about the greenhouse and the flower shop, we wanted to keep it on the family farm. I mean, I have been very involved when I quit the beauty shop and stayed at home. I was very active. Did all of the farming with my husband, so it was only fitting that when I thought about this and we had the building that I'd mentioned, that it was here on the farm, and we've been real happy with it.
Now you live, coming out here, I thought you were on the other side of Packwood, but you're on the north side of Packwood.
On the north side, exactly 2 miles north of Packwood. And so it's easy to find.
The Packwood Road, is that?
This is called, it's V63, County Road V63, but with the 911 addresses, it's Packwood Road.
Okay.
And we're right on the county line, so when you get 2 steps on the county line, it changes to another number. So this road
and that's
is really
Keokuk County?
Yes, Keokuk County.
Okay.
Yes. So we're right on the Jefferson County Keokuk County line.
Well, it was a nice ride out here today. It's beautiful. It's still kind of warm out, and great to drive out here.
Thank you.
Now, you said you've always been involved in this, but then I know that you took a Master Gardener course with the Extension Office?
Yes. I did. It was probably about the time I got into gardening for other people, and a neighbor lady and I took a Master Gardening course with the Extension, Iowa State University.
Did you
Master
take it
Gardeners
in Fairfield? Or?
It was in Fairfield, and Ron Bauer taught a lot of the classes. We was in conjunction with Washington County also.
Okay.
And to take some of the additional training, we was in Mount Pleasant at that county extension. So it was several counties involved with it.
Okay.
So a nice program.
I know that there is a Master Gardener program starting that people interested should contact probably Ron Bauer at the Extension office. I believe they start in January.
It's a wonderful program.
What a great thing to be doing in January,
yes,
is learning about what you can do in the spring.
Yes, they have a lot of, every evening that you go, it's very educational. A lot of films, with the spring flowers and everything. So when it's snowing outside, you can, be in your own little world with, watching the pretty plants.
How long do you remember does the course take? 2 or 3 months?
Yes, it does. I think if I remember right, when I went, I think it may have even been some nights, 1 or 2 nights a week, maybe just 1 night a week. But yeah, it's pretty much.
And I think now they have a project, part of your program is that you do a community project. Did you have that?
When I took my training, you had, I believe it was, I could be wrong here, but I believe it was like 40 hours community service.
Okay. Do you remember what
and
you
there
did?
again, yes, the neighbor lady and I, we did some of ours together, and a lot of it was done at the church right up the road. We did some landscaping things for them. We did a couple of the churches in Richland, where we happened to go. And then we also did a lot of work that was real rewarding at the Packwood Cemetery. You know, did a lot of maintenance, did a lot of flower beds, and you know, that's what community service is all about.
That's another great part of that program.
It really is. And then some of the elderly ladies in the area that knew we was doing community service and couldn't, you know, get out and do it.
Oh,
You know, we
sure.
would just help them out, and it was really fun. It was fulfilling. It was a lot of work, but that's what it's all about.
Okay. Now, it was after that, did you build, you said your husband had this room back here that we'll see. This was seed corn operation, right?
Yes, yes.
And he got out of that and was going to tear out the end and put a garage in here. And I liked what you said about, oh, wait a minute, let me think about that.
You know that the ladies always have another idea, but you have to approach it, and, you know, in a manner, you know. Well, just think about that for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess when I first started into this, my son was in college, and so I was real involved with my husband with the farming. But he was coming home from college, and it was kind of a hard time on the farm because if I remember right, you know, the crops weren't that good and stuff. So I, you know, did some gardening for other people, and
I think I remember that. I think Alex was graduating, and I talked to you about coming and helping me. Help!
It was just a little ad in the paper that started it. It was just a whim, and I have a lot of flower beds in the yard and stuff, and
Do you
I
still
thought,
do that?
yeah, I do.
you have time?
I'm pretty limited now with this, and I have a few people that I have done for the last 5 years that you know are on my books,
On your
and a
list,
few
right.
really big patrons that you know I have to
Right.
watch because I need time here with the shop too.
And so
I'm pretty limited.
we are not being commercial, but you do have a shop here at your home with this wonderful greenhouse and the shop, and it's grown, and I'm sure that it takes a lot of your time.
Yeah, it really does. This morning when, you know, you have to check, you know, every poinsettia plant, and when I have it filled, you know, to the brim with the poinsettias, and then also in the spring there is, you know, bedding plants. It's a small building, but when you get, you know, hundreds of plants in here, it takes a lot of time, you know, and that's one thing I'm really, you know, particular about is every plant has to be the best quality. You have to check, you know, the watering, the temperature, you know, the
When do you
bug
get the
control.
poinsettias?
These arrived, I usually get them about 4 days before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, and it was much fuller in here before. I have,
I imagine before Thanksgiving.
yes.
And boy, there are so many beautiful colors,
Yes. there is-
combinations. I don't know if Richard can see, but these
this
have
These are called Jingle bells.
jingle bells.
This table here is, and there again, all of the poinsettias, you know, this is a Jingle Bell variety, which is kind of a spotted, kind of a peppermint type.
Okay.
This is a new variety this year, which is called Cranberry Punch. It's a little bit lighter red, and it has more bracts on it.
Bracts being
The bracts
the
are
leaves
what you see, the red color. We call them bracts.
rather than the green leaves.
Yes, because
Okay.
actually, you know, some
Some
of
are
these
turning.
are yes.
Where do these come from? I know they're from Mexico and places like that, but where do you get them?
I get them from a wholesaler in Iowa, in the Des Moines, Iowa area, and you know, I'm real proud of the fact that you know these are Iowa, you know, grown. I don't grow
Okay.
them myself.
Okay.
A poinsettia is a difficult plant to grow. It is likes long nights and short days.
Long nights and short days.
So
now, I notice also on the wall you have the temperature in here, and it's about 60.
yes,
And that's
yes.
what you keep it all the time.
Well, now since it's you know, the sun is starting to go down and stuff, we keep it absolutely no colder than 60. But with our unusual Iowa weather,
That's got to be
I
difficult.
still have the sunshade on top of this. This is why we're having a lighting problem, because the sunshade is still on, because it'll be 80 by
Oh.
10 o'clock in the morning because it's so warm outside.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a lot, you know, the weather has a lot. My heater just came on.
The heater just came on. That's what we're hearing. Does it quit making this sound?
Yes, it does.
It does. So you know what? I do feel that it's gotten a little cooler in here since, and that's why the heater came on. It's on
Yes,
the temperature
yes,
control.
because it's on a temperature control, and it comes on at 60 degrees, and the
Okay,
thermometer
there.
is 60. So it usually doesn't make that noise, but when it does, you know,
Right.
I know what it is.
Let's talk a little bit about how you take care of a poinsettia. And am I saying that right?
Yeah, poinsettia. Some people call them poinsettia. You know, a lot of people in this area, you know, poinsettia.
Okay.
It is basically a very easy plant to take care of. I tell my people, a lot of people, you know, they're so pretty and they're so fresh, and you know, the bracts are so colorful that they're kind of afraid to take them home. And I tell, you know, my friends or whatever, that the biggest thing about taking care of a poinsettia is don't over care for it. People
that won't happen in my house.
People have the tendency to overwater. They think they're so pretty, and the biggest problem, I think, with people overwater them, that when the soil is dry to the touch, you know, water them, but don't let them set in water. These here are in a waterproof cover.
You know, sometimes I do notice that when I get them and I water them, I get this like little puddle down here.
You get the bubble, and that's because too much water.
So should you like poke it and put it in a dish so you can see that puddle?
I tell people both ways. I personally just drain it out and leave this in a waterproof. I guess that way you can set them on your carpet. You don't have to have a dish underneath. But you know, probably the proper way, the more fail-safe way, is to punch a hole in the bottom and have drainage. But there again, if there is drainage, make sure that you know, either way, if you have drainage, you're going to be pouring the extra water out, because you don't want it sitting in water.
Okay.
Probably water, I tell people, water once a week, and check it. Maybe you need to water it twice a week, depending on the temperature in your house.
Right.
You know, but if you keep the temperature 65 to 70, that's what they like. That's a perfect temperature, and they like it maybe 5 degrees cooler at night. So.
Now,
I have a lot of them in my house. All the ones that are sold, I keep in the house, and I probably have. My garage was full over the weekend. I just got those moved out. So in a house, I'm a perfect example. I probably have 65 in my family room right now, and they keep perfect.
oh my goodness.
All of those poinsettias, you know, they're not going to be by a window. Some of them are up high in a loft. It gets warmer up there. So you know, you can put them any place, and as long as they're watered properly.
The little things, the berries, seeds. What do you call these?
This is actually
Buds?
the blossom of a poinsettia. It's this little bitty yellow. You heard me speak of the bracts. This is actually the blossom. And most of us think that is the center, of the flower.
Right.
But this is actually the blossom.
And this is poisonous if you would eat it, correct?
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's what I always heard.
People have always heard the myth of poinsettia being poisonous. My daughter and I was just talking about that, and like I said, she's in horticulture at Iowa State University, and I think you would have to
eat a lot of them?
Eat like 75 or something,
No, this doesn't mean that you should garnish with them. No.
That's basically, and then I don't think it would, it wouldn't harm you that much, I don't believe.
Okay.
I think probably if you ate 75 or 100 of the middle things of any flower, you may not feel real good.
Right.
So that's basically a myth that they kind of get a bad rap for being poisonous, and they're really not.
Okay.
The milk, if
does that make you itch?
It can, if you have an open wound. When a leaf or something comes off of a poinsettia, or you happen to break a blossom off, you will see a milk. And the farmers compare that to like a milkweed. There's certain plants that have the white milk, and that, if you have an open wound, that could be irritating. But then again, it's not going to be harmful.
Okay.
Probably, on caring for a poinsettia, the most important thing when you get into the larger ones is they are tender. They will break, easy. And I'm running into that, with people like brushing them or, putting them in cars or stuff, be very, very fragile when you take them, because these branch out. These little ones here are just, you can.
Great for death.
Yeah, they're great.
Something.
They're great, and they're more protected. When you get into the larger ones where they're beautiful and they hang down, it's a tender stem. So that's the biggest thing on that poinsettia to watch.
Okay. Now, after the holidays are over, I know that our church, we have them, and it seems like they almost stay nice until February sometimes, Valentine's Day. And then Father will say, whoever wants, if you bought one, you can pick it up, and whoever wants one can come and get them. And I have actually, on my own, taken them outside and planted them and having them turn into like almost a bush.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what the care instructions for the people that really, keep them and want to keep them, after all danger of frost is over. Take them outside. You can even trim them back or leave them like that, and they'll grow, they'll grow big.
And then if you're going to bring them back into your house, you should put them dark.
That's where we get into the, poinsettia is a photoperiodic plant. That's, as I mentioned before, it likes a lot of darkness and shorter daytime. So then when you bring it in, it's a difficult thing to deal with. It needs, during, I believe it's October and November, it needs like 14 hours of darkness, and then it would be 10 hours of daylight. The best thing to do is put it in a closet.
So
yes, that's tricky.
Is to come to someone like you and start over. I think one time I accidentally had one in the basement, and who knows, but it started getting red around Christmas time.
Oh, that's terrific.
On its own.
Yeah. Some of the, I think back to poinsettias. My grandmother, who has been gone many, many years, but as I was a little child growing up, she had these huge poinsettias, and they would probably be 4 feet tall, and she'd take them down in the basement, and she could do it. I like to think I have a green thumb, but I don't have that much.
I bet you got some of that love for
but it,
plants
it can be done, but it takes a lot of tender, loving care and a very scheduled time to do it. Yeah. And a lot of us working people, we'll do it for 2 days and then we kind of forget about it.
Right. Well, we're going to stop the camera for a minute and take a look at some other really fun holiday plants. Now, Mary, I asked you if this is always this clean in here, because it is it is cleaner than part of my house. And if I were out here working, it would be a total mess. But you said you just vacuumed up some of the bougainvillea up there.
Yes.
Which is blooming. Does it bloom all the time?
The bougainvillea is a warm weather plant. It likes it dry, and when I bring in, I had a lot of these growing outside, and get them larger for next spring. And when you bring them in the greenhouse, they like it. They like it hot and dry. And when I bring them in the greenhouse, you fertilize them, and they just go bonkers.
Beautiful.
They just love it. Yeah.
These are beautiful.
I'll get a lot of, the blossoms will drop with the cold air when you open the door, but they're a very showy. They're an excellent plant for a greenhouse because they like, they like the warm temperatures.
Now, just looking at the structure of your greenhouse, you've got this little walkway down the sides and the gravel. Do you actually, the water can go down in there?
Yes.
There's no cement under the gravel?
Yes, no, the gravel goes down. I believe my husband and my two sons put this greenhouse together, and it came in a kit. We got it from a commercial supplier in Missouri area. And we put it together, and it was a little bit challenging, my men will say, because, they were used to, farm buildings and you use hammer and nails. And with this, it was completely different. But if I remember right, it's like 6 or 8 inches we dug down and then put the gravel in so the water drains. And then, of course, I have the walkways.
And so where I would be getting dirt everywhere, you keep a shop vac out here and you vacuum it up. So you're not sweeping your dirt down there.
No,
I would tend to maybe do. I don't know.
I'm pretty particular with the greenhouse, and basically this is a small greenhouse. This is 18 by 18. It's basically my showroom. It's, I built it for, a plant showroom, but it's also a working area. It's kind of like your kitchen. You work in it. And so I try to, keep it vacuumed up and it's clean. It's probably 4 years old now.
Wow,
and try to keep it
brand new.
Very nice to show off the pretty things.
And showing off a pretty thing, you were telling me this is a poinsettia here. And
this is called Winter Rose.
It's got the ruffly bracts.
Yes.
I used the right word. And it's not branching off. Do they usually branch off, or do they grow?
This one is a single plant.
Okay.
I've got some others inside that the other ones are pinched off, so they make more of a bush type with different ones. This one is what we call a straight up, meaning the one plant makes the one blossom.
Are these new?
The growers were growing them last year, I believe. This is the first year that I have had them, and it's a real different item.
It's a different look.
Yes, it is.
It's nice. I like it. It'll be interesting to see what the consumer thinks about these.
Yeah, it will. They're grown in smaller numbers, of course. They're pretty hard to get because it is a new item. And like I said, the numbers aren't is nearly as much as that. But for a different item, they're really pretty to look at. Now,
I was saying I'm really attracted to this Wreath-Shaped ivy. And the ivy, what is the ivy?
That's a variegated English ivy. Right beside it would be a pointed leaf green ivy. And that's a real fun thing to have at Christmas time. If you've noticed, I put it in a Christmas cloth pot and just put a bow on it. When the holidays is over, you can put it in another colored pot or a terracotta pot. You can put birds on it for spring. You can decorate it for Valentine's. It's a year round.
I loved what you said is you can take this for Valentine's Day and just push the center down and turn it into a heart.
Absolutely. That's a very popular item in,
I never knew
in February.
that. Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun things to do, with it. And after Valentine's is over, you bring up,
back
you're
up
careful
and
with it.
turn
and
it into a
you've
shamrock,
got it.
maybe.
Well, that may be a little bit. I want to come and see yours.
This is, it's Christmas
That's
cactus.
called a Christmas cactus.
Is that
That's
its real
a small
name?
one. It has the proper name, which I can't even think of now, but it is the Christmas cactus.
Okay. Those are really nice. I have a friend that has one in her bedroom, and it's huge.
Yeah. There again,
likes
you
it
can.
there.
That's a small one. I've got a larger one that's a little bit showier down on the other end. And there again, you take those out in the summertime and put them in your gardens.
These?
And they will grow huge.
Really?
Yes.
I've never taken it out.
A lot of the mothers and the grandmothers have, huge ones that are, several years old.
Okay. Now, do we have any other Christmassy? Yes, I love this. This is kind of a new thing to do with ivy.
These are the little straight ups. It's just the one blossom.
Those are really attractive also. This is what I was talking about, the new kind of idea I love is to wrap around and
the
have a
topiary
candle.
tree. For Thanksgiving, which was just a few days ago, I put a orange candle in it and had it burning on my table, and it was just really lovely. Then you take it out and you put a red candle in it. It'll be real cute at Easter time or whatever.
Great idea.
And in the terracotta pot, it makes it, rustic. Just a real elegant, but yet very practical.
And also, the plants. What are these up here? Those are
one of my favorites.
azalea.
That is called a goldfish plant.
A goldfish plant.
That is
Boy,
called a
was I
goldfish.
wrong.
I really get into having different things. If you notice the little gold blossom that it has up there, looks like a goldfish.
Oh.
And those are people just really love them. The little toddlers, the little kids like them, the teenagers like them, ladies get them, because the grandchildren are coming. It's just a real fun plant. And I have a real large one hanging on the other side that's probably 3 or 4 years old that blooms goldfish year round.
Okay.
So it's a real fun plant. Probably the Bougainvillea and the goldfish plant that you see right here. These pink bougainvilleas and the goldfish plant are my very favorites.
Now, if someone were going to get that, how would they get it home? Do they have to worry about the cold?
On the Bougainvillea, the Bougainvillea is like it warm, and if they get too cold, they'll drop their leaves and their blossoms. But
that's the heater again.
But don't be that alarmed because you haven't killed the plant. It just likes warm temperatures. It's more, you really should move it in warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't move them when it's freezing or below. You can wrap them
And now, I said we weren't going to get commercial, but we'll take another break and move into your shop part.
Sounds great.
So Mary, your kind of hobby has turned into a very nice business, I think.
Yeah, it really has. We're standing in my flower shop now, and I call this my Playhouse because it did start out as a hobby. I've always had, on our family farm, we've lived here for 28 years, and I've always had a lot of flower beds. And,
I was asking you if the poinsettias were kind of your specialty, but you said no, that probably your spring or summer flowers are more what you're known for?
Well, I suppose so. I really love flowers, and I love the quality of the flowers and each flower just, you know, says a lot. And to pick out, you know, I love the Christmas season and I love the red poinsettias, but, you know, like I say,
it's whichever season.
yeah, it's whatever. You know, it's a good thing we live in Iowa, because it's nice having the holidays and the red poinsettias, but when you see the greenhouse just chock full to the brim with, you know, all kinds of snapdragons and geraniums and stuff, that's a real fun time also.
I know when we have our garden tour for the Art Association, we ask the gardeners what their favorite flower is, and some of them will say it's whatever is in bloom, and I think that's really true.
Yeah, that, you know, the people, all of us that really, you know, I guess I'm in this, it's my hobby that's turned into a business, but, you know, I just love flowers and the people, you know, a lot of us, you know, there's so many people now that work such long, hard days and like to come home and be the hobby gardeners, and, you know, it's just the love of it that...
I think it is,
it's
read
just
where
a love.
It's the #1 hobby.
Yes, it really is. I was reading an article, and you know, there is, I'm sure it's a lot of truth, but they said that, you know, people that have very stressful jobs and come home, and, you know, gardening is hard work, but it's a stress reliever, and that, you know, they did a study where the gardener, you know, didn't have as much high blood pressure and whatever, so, you know, it's just a fun thing to do.
Then you really shouldn't.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, so you also said that after Master Gardener, you went on and you did some other things. You're certified landscape something.
I basically, when I belonged to the Iowa Association of Landscapers, but I went on for training in, I'm a certified floral designer.
Okay.
And I went down several years ago and did that because it was really important for me, you know, to be certified in it. So that's when I, you know, basically when I opened the flower shop is, you know, when I took that training. So that was, you know, that was probably my biggest accomplishment, you know, to get this started. And then, you know, like a year later, then I built the greenhouse. So I've got it basically, you know, I'm a one-man band. I do this basically myself.
So how many times do you, or how many hours a day do you spend out here? Depends on the...
When I'm in my busy time, I wouldn't even want to keep track.
And days a week, are you able to stay away from this place? Or like on the weekends?
Yeah, you know, I'm basically, it's seasonal for me when I'm out here in the country. Of course, I'm getting busier all the time, but it is seasonal. I mean, I live out here in the spring. I'm living out here now. I mean, I come out in the wee hours of the morning and go in the, you know,
I can relate
the
to
wee
that.
hours. I mean, I wouldn't even want to keep track. There's a lot of long hours. But there again, you know, if I had, you know, help, you know, I wouldn't have to do that. But I'm trying to do it myself. I had my daughter home over Thanksgiving, and being a hort major, and she works in a flower shop, so I put her right to work. You know, and the week just flew. So she was a big help.
Does she really want to make her career out of this?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
Does she have a certain area she wants to do?
She wants to get into public gardens or teaching horticulture.
Okay.
So not necessarily coming home and working in mom's shop. She's going on to bigger and better things.
Right. She'll probably have you come and help her someday.
I think that the role is going to turn because she interned down at Missouri Botanical Gardens last summer, and that's one of the third largest botanical centers in the world. And so that was fun for Mom to go down and see, because I've got a lot of ideas from you know, just the different plants,
and she can maybe teach you some things.
Well,
too.
I'm sure we're getting
from each other.
We're getting at that stage that I ask her all kinds of, you know, questions, and you know, I'm learning from her. Yeah, it's a real fun thing. So.
Well, Mary, I'd like to thank you, and if you're ever out north of Packwood and you want to stop in, I'm sure that you do have some hours.
Yes, I do.
Do you keep regular hours?
During the holidays and whatever, I probably say
here.
8 to 6. But if I tell people if I'm home, I will always wait on you. I wait. I like to think that me not keeping regular hours is better because I tell my people if they're coming by at 7 or 8 o'clock, I've waited on people at 9 o'clock, and that's kind of the fun thing about it. It's convenient for the working people. You know, they just give me a phone call or whatever, and I suppose you would say make an appointment. But if they're going by, no, I'm glad. And they're understanding, you know, if I'm busy or I'm having a family dinner, you know, maybe some other time. So it works out pretty good.
So in some ways, it still is your hobby if you can keep it that way. I mean,
yeah,
and
being
it's your business, but yet you must
and being
love
on
it.
the family farm, I still help I'm very active with the field work, and so when it gets the busy time in the spring or the fall, I go out with that, and of course when I make my own flower deliveries, I'm gone and I leave a note on the door saying delivery in progress, and I come right back. My husband and my son, I'm not closed a lot because they will watch it for me while I'm gone. And if I do go in and do other people's gardening, they'll watch it for me during the day.
That's another question. Your husband, what does he think of you out here doing this? Is he...
He's very supportive.
That's great.
He's learning a lot about flowers. He likes it because it's on our family farm. We've put our heart and soul into the family farm, and I'm one of these people that I wouldn't be, you do what you have to do, but I'm happy being on the farm, and instead of, I used to work in the flower shop before I had the beauty shop before I had the children, and I just wasn't happy being away from the farm. So this keeps me here, and we're all, it works out well for us.
Well, it's great that you get to do something that you love.
Yeah, and it gets the town people out in the country, so it helps us all out.
So once again, if you're north of Packwood, stop in, and you have a shop called Yards of Color. Stop in and take a look at your poinsettias, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you very much for coming. I've enjoyed you.
Them.
Thank you very much.